Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hope y'all are doing well. Let's see who we got hanging out with us today. We have Darren Birds is here. Good morning, Darren. John Howard's here. Good morning, John. Landis Stute says, beautiful morning here in Virginia. Good morning, Landis. Ray Jones, good morning. Steve's here. Appreciate the thumbs up, Steve. Got a few of them, just like always, but always a few holdouts here. Good morning to you, Steve. Kenneth's here. Good morning, Kenneth. Clyde is here. Good morning, Clyde. Larry's here. Good morning. Larry said, no rain? Come on. We got another good little rain yesterday. Raymond's here. Good morning, Ray. Troy Pritchard. Good morning, Troy. Appreciate the thumbs up. Lou Thomas. Good morning. Mr. George is here. Happy Thursday to you. Kevin Ells. Good morning. And let's see who we got. Gary Hammond. Good morning. All righty. I don't have a whole lot to talk about today. I do have a few little odds and ends to share with you this morning. Let's see, which one should I start with? Let me. I was talking about I was going to run that box yesterday, and I did, but I didn't bring the box in here. But I got lots of pictures I can show you. And remember now, before I show you these, remember that this is some pretty crummy plywood. It's the exterior grade, the CDX plywood type stuff. But I'd built something out of it and then was, you know, just knocked it apart and then decided to use the blanks for this. And here you can see when my little cursor over here, you can see there's like a big knot that was in that piece of veneer, or that layer that came out. But as far as doing the using the box creator, it came out pretty nice. And I took several pictures, and again, you can see how rough this plywood is. I did sand it a little, but it's not the good stuff at all. And here you can see right down here where my cursor is, there was like a knot in that layer, and it kind of blew out right there. But I'm gonna try to fill that in. Here's another knot that just fell out, and just as the router goes through this, it just blows it all apart and stuff. But I was really kind of impressed because I used the 1/4 inch for this, and here's kind of an example. Here you can see the dog bone things. They're really not as bad as I thought they were going to be by using that 1/4. They really don't look that bad. In fact, here's a shot of the back. Now, I haven't glued any of this together yet because I think I'm going to probably knock it back apart. That way I can lay each piece down and put fan holes or whatever I'm going to do as because I think I'm going to use this to make a controller, CNC controller out of it. And here's a picture of the inside. And I took this just to show you that back when this was just a board and I had it leaned up, I would go out and spray paint something. And then, you know how when you get done spray painting something, you turn the can upside down and spray it, and to keep the nozzle. And that's what I do. I just go hold it against that board. So there was a bunch of black paint, and I think there was some red paint and stuff there, but that'll go to the inside. And also here is a close-up of the inside, like right here. I took a close-up of that. So you can see that those little dog bone things are really not that bad. I thought they would be much more noticeable than the 1/8 bit that I use, but really it's just the opposite. I think these look a little better. So I was kind of pleasantly surprised. And then here is just some of Jack's glucosamine treats come in these little plastic things, and I save them because they're good to put nuts and bolts and stuff in. But I saved a bunch of the dust, and I'm going to use that with some glue to try to fill in some of the spots that particularly that one dog bone thing that blew out. So, but anyway, the box itself, let's see, is that where I'm at? Yeah, it didn't turn out too bad. Didn't turn out too bad. It's just, and so I can see that if I had used some of that nice 1/2-inch birch plywood, sanded on both sides and stuff, you could make a really nice looking box out of this. So anyway, there is the box, and I think like I said, I'm glad I was able to make something useful out of that scrap, because originally I was just going to take it around and throw it in the fire pit. And then I thought, well, let me start unscrewing some stuff and see if I glued it together. And it turns out that I didn't. I had used my little brad nailer, and so it worked out pretty good. And this box is roughly let's see, it's 15.5 inches this way. Oh, I'm pointing like you can see. I forgot I'm not showing it now. 15.5 inches this way is 20 inches that way, and then it's just under 7 inches tall. But I set it for 7 inches, and then of course when you don't put the top on there, like somebody mentioned Saturday, it deducts a little bit. So I think it's 6 3/4 tall there. So, but anyway, that was fun making that. And for some really crummy plywood, it turned out fine. Turned out pretty good. Let's see here. Lonnie's in the house. Good morning, Lonnie. My favorite solar man's here. If you need to know how to replace the PVC valve on a 2016 Ford F-150, there's your man right there. You put a video out yesterday. Go check it out. George says, I like the work. Yeah, well, it's not really anything I did. I just turned the machine on, let it do its thing. Sean's here. Good morning, Sean. George says, without glue, what is your impression about strength? Well, I'm going to tell you, I was a little worried about this plywood because it's as you can see clearly, it's the construction grade, crappy outdoor type plywood. So I was really concerned about it not being a real uniform thickness. I measured at several spots, and it would vary, 5 to 10 thousandths just from the spots I measured it. So when I did the allowance, I did 5 thousandths, which again, that's 5 thousandths this side and 5 thousandths that side. So it means that your notch for your finger is going to be 10 thousandths bigger than the width of the finger. And I was really worried about that not fitting and me having to really knock it together or sand it or whatever. But it went together pretty good. In fact, if I had some more of that same crummy plywood and I was to run another one of these, I would probably tighten it up a little bit. I would probably go maybe even as low as 3 thousandths for the allowance. But with some glue, all you got to do is put some glue and clamp that stuff, and it's going to be plenty strong. So, yeah, Clyde, that's what I'm thinking. A little wood filler and some paint. And then that's why there was so much dust, because I used the downcut Jenny. That's what I used to cut this. And since it was the downcut bit, it didn't throw the dust everywhere. It, packs it down in there. And of course, it was all over the top of the blank because I didn't run the dust collection. And so I thought, well, I got all this dust. So what I'll do is I'll just get something to put it in. And so I have them off to the side here. You can't see it on the side of the, again, I'm pointing like you can see, but over here on the side of the machine, sitting on top of the controller, actually, I have a little plastic container thing, and I keep all my spare clamps and stuff. And I also have like an old paintbrush that I use as a chip brush. So I took that and just kind of dusted up all the dust, and then, got as much as I could into that little container, and I would use that to try to patch up some spots. But I'm really not too worried about, again, it's me. I don't worry about stuff looking pretty. If it works, it works. So anyway, but there's the box I talked about yesterday. Wilson's here. Good morning, Wilson. Dan's here as well. Good morning, Dan. Lonnie says, I don't have Vectric Box Maker, but thinking of using the online version. On the dimensions, are you entering the actual outside dimensions? I need to make 6 drawers. Yes. If you use that free online one that I showed last Saturday, there is a little box that you can check. And when you put the dimensions in, if you want them to be outside dimensions, you check that little box that says outside, and then it will be outside dimensions. If the dimensions you're putting in, you want it to be inside dimensions, you would leave that box unchecked, and then it would make those inside dimensions. And then, of course, the outside dimensions would just be 2 times whatever your material thickness is that you're using. But I like to work with outside dimensions. Yeah, Clyde said he's got no lid or fan yet on his control box. Yeah, Clyde sent me a picture of his yesterday. It looked fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. If it works, it works. All right, so that's enough of the pictures. And I'm going to tell you something too. Let me just show this again. Obviously this is, like I said, crappy plywood, the CDX type sheathing plywood stuff, but it's usually cheaper than the good stuff, obviously. So if you had to make a bunch of drawers and you're making them for, just for your shop, maybe you're making what it is that everybody makes, the big fancy miter saw station where they got, the saws in the middle, and then you got all these drawers and stuff on both sides. If you just had to make a bunch of drawers, the way to do it, in my opinion, would be to buy this cheap plywood, make the main drawer, and then just put a nice piece of the birch plywood on the front as a drawer front. And because, you think about it, you don't ever see a drawer. I mean, even when you pull it out to get stuff out of it, you're not really paying attention to what it looks like. It's meant to hold stuff. So that's how I would do it. And that's how I've done stuff. If you come and look in my shop, a lot of the different things I've built that's just shop stuff, it's built out of this kind of plywood because I don't want to pay the big money for something pretty and then it gets all beat up. At least that's the way I think anyway. All right, enough of that. Let's see. Morning, Rob. Rob Schuster's in the house. Also got and if you can't tell, I got something running back there on my quiet one. Had a question yesterday. Larry sent me a link to a little product, and that he found somewhere, and said, "Hey, could you think it'd be possible to 3D print these?" And so I went and looked at it, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could." So I thought I would show. today. Actually, let me get it up here. But I actually drew one of them. And that's what's printing back there. And also, I've got one already printed that I printed yesterday. And what these are, well, let me just probably show it better this way. The link that he sent me, the company was making these things, and they call these, I don't know if you can read this up here, it's called joint bridge clamping pad. And what you do is if you've got, like, say you've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 boards that you're trying to do a glue up to make a panel, you take one of these, and let's see if I can, let's see, let me put my glasses on here for a minute. Oops. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Come on, Dave. Oh, I think it's like this. I think. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. All right, so if I take this, oops. It's not going to do it. Let me try this one. There we go. So basically, if you're trying to glue up a panel, you would take 2 of these, and of course your panel would be sitting in here. Let's see if I can get these. Okay, so they go like kind of like this. And when you put your panel in here, you would put where the seam or the joint of the 2 panels, and this would clear that so that when you get the glue squeeze out, you don't glue your clamp to the panel. And then you put your clamp, from here to here, and you get some good pressure that will not only keep from getting glue squeeze out here, but it also will help get your 2 pieces where the joint is flat. So assuming you've got them planed to the same thickness, of course. But anyway, I went ahead and drew that up. And Larry, if you want a copy of that SDL file, I will send it to you. If anybody else that's watching here wants that, they can send me an email, and I will send it to them. But they said that the company, I'm not going to mention the company, but they sell them for like, I think, a set of 24 of them, because you need one top and bottom, and then you need one for every 2 panels you're trying to glue up. They were like $70 for 24 of them or something. Now, of course, they're not 3D printed. The ones they're selling, they're making them out of some kind of molded stuff, and it might be better than this. But this one I ran last night, and when I came in this morning, I pulled it off, and I cannot break it. So I think this would, as long as you got lots of time, it takes about, I think it took about 4 hours to do this. And if you wanted, you can see I made it with the little indentations on both sides. You could really leave it solid if you wanted, and it'd be even stronger. But anyway, I will send that to you, Mr. Galt. And if anybody else wants that STL, I will send it to them as well. So just send me an email, let me know. That way I can, because I'm not going to send them to everybody unless, you send me an email, because that way I can just hit reply and then attach it and make it easy for myself. So if you want one, send me an email, and I will do it. Rob says, After watching your videos, I think I could design it. Yeah, it's really pretty simple. In fact, I kind of sketched it out because when I went and looked at that website that was selling these things, they had some of the dimensions, but not all. And I thought, well, I'm not trying to copy it exactly anyway. I just want to get this kind of the basic shape. And it's the same length as theirs. This is 4 inches. They never did say exactly what the height is, but I don't remember really what I made that either. Okay, about looks like I made a total of 1.5 inches tall this way. They said that the pads were 1 inch, so this whole thing is 1 inch thick. So they said the pads were 1 inch by 1 3/8. And then I knew this was 4 inches. So if this is 1 3/8 and this is 1 3/8, that makes that 1.25 inches. And I mean, it was really bad. I told Larry yesterday when he sent me that, I said, yeah, we'll draw that during the coffee sessions this morning. And then I started drawing and I'm like, well, heck, I'm already done. You know, it just didn't take long. So then I thought, well, let me print one, see if it works. Now it looks like, I don't know if you can see that or not. It looks like it had a little bit, I can't get the lighting right. But if you look right in the very center, because I'm printing it like this here. So as it's coming, it looks like it had a little bit of trouble bridging that. And I don't know if this next one will be like that or not, but so it's not real pretty right there in the center, right where it's trying to go across this arch here. It's got a little stuff. You could file that out, but again, I cannot budget. So I think it would work nice for those. So, and of course, Troy has to be the smart guy. Yeah, it would be faster for sure. But that isn't what Larry asked me. He asked me if we could 3D print it. So, yeah. Now, and that's a good point because really you think about it, this is 1 inch thick. You could just take this basic shape and you could either cut them out of 3/4 plywood or maybe cut them out of 1/2 inch plywood and then glue 2 of them together and you'd have the same 1 inch thickness and it'd be done. But I don't know that you would get them. Well, they'd probably be about the same, I guess. But the problem with making them out of wood, like I said, the whole purpose of these is to bridge the joint so that when you put clamps holding the panel, you're going to get squeeze out right in here. Well, if you mess around and cut them out of wood and then you do actually get something on there, then you got a problem. These would probably pop off a lot easier. So, but yeah. I know you can make them faster on the CNC. And of course, you could probably get you some HDPE and cut them, and would work pretty well. Yeah, for those people that don't have fancy 3D printers. I do not have fancy 3D printers. I got 2 of the cheapest ones you can find. But yeah, there's a bunch of and see, it always amazes me is when you see, and I won't mention any names because I'm not trying to bash anybody, but these well-known superstar YouTubers that have these immaculate shops and all the fancy Powermatic tools and all this kind of stuff, and all the little widget stuff like this that anybody could make out of scrap wood, plywood, whatever, with or without a CNC. Do they have that? No, they buy everything. They're the kind of folks that keep, Rockler and Woodcraft and Highland Woodworking and all those places in business, because all the poor folks like me are figuring out just, well, heck, I just make them, Yeah, if you wanted to make some, fancy ones, you could do them out of aluminum and mill them out of that. Lots of ways to make them, but like I said, they're selling these. Um, a set of a set of 24 was $69.99. So let's see how much that is for one of them. $69.99 divided by 24. Yeah, almost $3 a piece. We'll see. I can set this up and print it and probably have, I don't know, probably a quarter's worth of filament or something. I don't know how much filament it is. I'd have to look. But yeah. Anyway, I thought it turned out pretty good. Uh, like I said, anybody that yeah, yeah, anybody that wants that file, just send me an email and I will hit reply and then attach the STL, and you can 3D print your own if you want. I'm probably not going to print many, but you have to have at least two of them. Well, really, I guess depending on your panel. And they even used in the example, of course, they're trying to get you to buy a whole bunch of them, because they would have like one on this end, and then or two, because you got one here, another one on top of it, and then you got one on for the other end. And then, of course, if your panel's very long, you put some in the middle, and then you lay a board on top of that to help. So they got it figured out where they can convince you that you need a whole bunch of these, which you probably do, but to buy them, it would be a little silly to me. But like I said, some folks, that's the way they want. They don't want any homemade, stuff in their shop. Everything's bought from those fancy stores. Wouldn't it be easier to clean the glue off of it? Yeah, HDPE would be perfect because you can't glue that to nothing. It won't stick. You can't even. Well, I guess you can if you use the right kind of stuff, but you can't really even glue HDPE to HDPE. It's slicker and greased owls is what they say. You cannot glue it up. Yeah, Larry says, Rob, you design it. Send me a file. I'll print it for you. Okay. Okay, Larry's saying 1690 about. Okay, he's talking about the filament, I think. I think that's what you're talking about, because that's what that. And I still got to get some more of that, because that one right back there that's running, that's my last spool of black, and I think I'm going to try a spool of that. Let's see, I wrote it down somewhere. Tech Bears filament that you were talking about. So, all righty. Well, I guess that's my. Okay, he must have been answering this. How much is a? How many could you make with one spool? You could make a bunch of them. I'm pretty sure. In fact, we'll do the. If y'all want to do some mathematics real quick before we get out of here, I will bring in my slicer and I'll come back. Oh, by the way, I drew this in Design Spark in inches. So if you bring it into a slicer, it's more than likely going to be super tiny. So make sure you hit the scale and put 24 or 25.4 so that you get it back to inches. Okay, so if I look over here, it says that you can see the stuff 3 hours and 44 minutes. Actually took closer to 4 hours. I think, to print. And I didn't print it like this too. Let me show you how I'm doing it. I'm doing it like that. So 3 hours, 35 minutes, says it's going to take 21.16 meters or 63 grams. And so in a spool, there's what, 1,000 grams? A kilogram? Isn't that what it is? Somebody help me with the math here. So if you have 1,000 divided by 63, yeah, it looks like you could get 15 or 16 of those things out of a spool. So in a spool, like Larry said, is $16.90. So I don't know. You'd have to decide if it's worth it to you or not. The cool thing is when you make stuff yourself is that you can make it when you need it. You don't have to worry about buying. And of course, you go buy them too. You know you're going to pay probably shipping from that place. So that's something else to think about. All right. Well, that was my timer. We'll get out of here. And oh, maybe Larry's right. Is it 2.2? Oh, now I don't know. Sorry, Jack. Let me look and see. This is a 1 kilogram spool. Is what this is. Now, maybe you buy the bigger spools, Larry, but I was thinking that most of them were 1 kilogram. Let me, now you got me wanting to look. So, oops. Let's do this real quick. Okay, I'm looking up that Tech Bears that you sent me for $16.90. It's 1 kilogram. Right here. So the 1 kilogram. If I'm doing my math, yeah, it's 2.2 pounds. That's right. But it's 1 kilogram. So I think, you guys tell me if I'm doing it wrong. I think my math is right. So 1 kilogram, that's 1,000 grams, right? That's what the K means. So if you divide the 63 grams into the 1,000, that should be just under 16. So again, you'd have to decide for yourself if it's worth the time and to do it, or you want to just go spend the money at one of them places and pay shipping and all that too. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Everybody have a good Thursday. I'm not sure what I'm going to do today. I think I got to run my machine a little bit. I got a few orders to fill, so probably have to work a little bit today. But anyway, we will see y'all tomorrow for number 550. Halfway to 600 here. So everybody have a good one, and we will see y'all tomorrow.